Hello from Bali. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about archive and let's start with the definition.
When you have a lot of documents, sometimes you will find that none of them are quite useful. And if you're using this paper right now, maybe they would lay on your desk. Then some of them would be put on a strong box, safe strong box, yes?
Or like a solid box or like a
Solid
card
box.
box.
Or card box. Then maybe you will move them to some bookshelf. But if you will work very hard and you have a lot of employee, you will find that there is not enough room in your cabinet, and you will use special room, special помещение. I don't know how to say.
Special room area.
Or special area. And I'm very happy that we're talking about this because I have a lot of knowledge and I couldn't share with people because no one asked. It was a time when I was responsible for consumer sales finance, and I was granted to people like 8,000 credit per day. And it was very hard. I was using all the day to put my signature. Previously, I was working in Germany, and I was advised to create significantly improved juridical signature. I don't know how to say signature, which could be recognized by a lawyer, and this should contain from 2 words. But when I was daily signing all of these papers, this was 8,000 complex of documents. Each could consist of 2 papers or maybe like 20 papers. I was sitting all the day and I was just putting like something like check marks. I was sitting on all meetings. I was sitting in my car. I was sitting in the pool, and each 30 minutes I would come to the, I don't know how to say, to Bortik.
Border.
I would come to the border and I would use some small towel, and then I will sign like 100 papers, and several people were just delivering papers to me and delivering them back to the office. It was time when it was was not possible to use like facsimile, but just live signature. And then I was found that even this area, which was like, I don't know, like 200 meters, were completely full with papers. I came to this room and I was asking, okay, we're storing so many papers, but do we need them all? And it was answer, yes, we need, because maybe sometime we will go to court because some fraudsters wouldn't pay for us, as they will give back some money or percentage. I say, okay. So then I was forced to use another room, and it was already filled. And then I was approached by a girl, and he asked me, Oleg Leonidovich, why are we using those multiforas? Multiforas is a small pocket which is transparent. We call it file in Russian language, but in proper name it would be multifora. And I asked her, yes, but are you against it? And she were prepared, and she showed me 2 stack of those multiforas, like 100 and 100. And she showed me, and do you see how thick it? And I was thinking, yes, she's right. How many papers do we have in this archive? And she told me like several millions of papers, and each packet should be put in multifora. And I told, okay, in another archive, in another area, use without multifora. And suddenly, like, I don't know, 5% on top papers were containing this room. Next time I was approached by another girl, and she asked me, okay, could we use, I don't know how to say, but this papki, how it's folder.
Folders.
Huge card folders, and it was the same. Maybe we could just put the paper on top, and I told yes, okay. And third time I was approached by another man, and he was asking, maybe we could use some, I don't know how to sell cells like in the supermarket to hold bags. And then we start to use a lot of those shelves with these cells to store documents. And suddenly I found after several years that 6-year building, 6-stage building, store building, was completely filled with papers.
And when we actually speak about the relevancy of the archive, because it seems that, like whatever we put there might not be used like a 100%. So it's just like a small percentage. So how to define like whether you still have to hold everything in one place, like in whatever quantity, in whatever even copies, because some documents might also be having like a copy, so or what's not, and what might be the percentage that you are going to use. And again, like giving that it might be quite small, how to deal with this, like how to optimize.
You know, it's a very painful question. And when I was asked by my stock holders and same size people, I am always getting sad, because to be honest, if you're using database in a very intense way, you would not access more than 2% of the volumes. So if you store the same amount of papers, maybe you will use like 0.5% of it. Suddenly, like 15 years ago, I was approached by the company. I never heard about it. It was named like Iron Mountain. It was a company from America, and this company was specialized to store data on paper form, on magnetic tapes, discs, and so on. And they were asking, why do you store all this paper in the almost in the mid of the city with a huge rent? And I asked them, okay, what do you propose? And they say, daily you will get a small bus and you will fill it with papers, and we will take them out and we will scan them. And if you need those papers, you will be granted access to PDF or TIFF or JPEG files. And if you need them to carry it to the court, you will get them by request in a paper form. And I asked them, okay, but where is the profit? And suddenly they showed me a small business plan. Maybe they have some spy in my company, but they have almost accurate digits. And suddenly I found that I could сохранить,
Save.
I could save, I don't know, like 2% of my budget. It's a huge sum, and I was for sure accepting this offer. And in several years, I find that close to Sheremetyevo airport, there is a huge, I don't know how to say, hangar with 30 meter high, was filled like a tube with papers, my papers.
And when it actually comes to organizing the like how exactly items should be stored, because at certain point of time we not only want to store but we also want to retrieve. So maybe we could look at it like I would say like a file system, so how we would go about the indexing and cataloging all of the items there.
You are completely killing my answer, because I was intent to tell the same thing. It was a time when I was responsible for 125 lawyers, and we were forced to go to court. I don't know how many, but like 12,000 cases, because it was crisis of 2008, which was very heavily hit badly to economy of the country I was working currently at. And we were trying to collect all this paper to create one case to go to court. But you know, at this point, the business was so huge that it was like, I don't know how to say, it was looking like a garbage area when you will throw a lot of papers, because some courier services will deliver a lot of different kind of paper. For example, справка о смерти, certificate of death.
Yes.
Certificate of death, denying of collateral, and so on. Some was dying, some was ill, someone lost, I don't know how to say, кормильца, feeders.
Or custodians.
So, and if you will go to the court without one or two papers, court would deny to put this in a schedule. So I was thinking, how could I deal? And suddenly I realized that there is already decision which was named NTFS. NT network FS file system. It was used by Windows NT and Windows 7, 10, and Windows other versions. But if you put a lot of file on your hard drive, suddenly you will find that they are quite defragmented. And if you want to collect all in one piece, you should defragment it. So I was using almost the same. We were creating with one pregnant girl. She were asking, I have no force to go and to work with my legs, but I can't work with my arms. Can you do can you give me some job? And I ask you, are you able to learn something about Access? And I gave to her a CD-ROM with courses, and suddenly he created in 5 months small database, and we were using this to collect all the documents like in NTFS.
And now we will switch from the corporate areas to maybe some sort of like a personal stuff. Like, should the one, whether it's like their small business or maybe, you know, like some venture or even the personal life, have possessed and maintain the archive of their own artifacts?
I will tell you two stories. First stories, all archive which I have could be placed on a small memory stick, and all my archives is something like 2000 gigabytes in WinRAR mode. And you know, this all my files which was created for last 30 years. And what's funny, you know this, but maybe our listeners and watchers don't know, I never delete the file. I just create a copy. So all of my data are so small, and in this case I couldn't imagine that someone could have archive by themselves. But for sure, if you're dealing with video montage,
Editing.
video editing, or maybe audio editing, or maybe you're creating something for gaming or like a game dev, maybe you will have much bigger archive. But anyway, if you're working with documents and databases as me, so you could create them in several different regime. First, I always keep my files in archive, and if I'm trying to work, I just will extract several of them and I put them in temporal directory. I will work, and then at the end of the day, I would create archive of the day. Weekly, I would extract all the files from the days, and I would create weekly archive. At the end of months, I would make them once more, and at the end of quarter I would make the same. Several years ago I was creating even year archive, but now I am just switch off to create just daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly.
And then there is also maybe a small difference between the backups or like incremental backups and archive. Should the one actually have this difference, or at the end of the day, whatever the last version you have should be ended up in our archive, or there should be some sort of like allowance for redundancy?
I'm sure that you are, especially you, as a well-organized person, could create incremental backup. But I'm a live person, so I was trying to use this, but I found it's very inconvenient. You have you should have a very brilliant discipline to use like an incremental backup. And now I'm creating, I don't know this word, избыточный backup. How to say it?
Redundant.
Redundant, yes, thank you. Redundant backup. Yes, I know this is not an efficient way to storage, but it's much easier because, for example, if you will put some files in old archives, then you need to use some special system like catalog to find those files. And you know, it's not easy. Much easier to have all in one. For example, I have several archives. This book I have already read, and sometime I would be asked by pupils, by students, can you give, for example, like PCM book and something like this? And I am starting to find this incremental archive, which was created several years ago, and it's like so long. And I am so happy that I am now using just usual backup, regular backup.
And then my last question will be how knowing about archive could help to make this world a better place.
I have been working in different countries, and sometimes I would be approached by some people, and they will say, "Come on, do you know Maxim Golub phone number, for example, from Omsk or from Singapore, or maybe some else information?" And usually I make a small smile, warm smile, and I'm saying, "For sure I have." So sometimes I would be asked to find someone's contacts from, I don't know, previous century. Right now it's quite funny to hear, but now we have 2024, yes, year?
2024.
2024. So 24 years ago, I was working at some company, maybe Alpha Bank, maybe Alpha Capital, and I could be asked, for example, when it's a birthday of someone's, and it's so funny that so many people do not store these old files, but I have them all.
And we review the skill of archive and how it would be helpful for you. Stay in peace.